There is no neural circuit in the brain for being smart. Rather, there are neural circuits that are responsible for focus, neural circuits for creativity. Many people actually don't get enough sodium, especially people that are following low carbohydrate diets, drinking a lot of caffeine, or eating extremely clean. Oftentimes, those people feel better when they increase their sodium intake. Sleep is the foundation of mental health, physical health, and performance. Thesis makes custom nootropics. And to be quite honest, I don't like the word nootropics because the translation of nootropics is smart drugs. There is no neural circuit in the brain for being smart. Rather, there are neural circuits that are responsible for focus, neural circuits for creativity. Thesis understands this. Electrolytes are key to cellular function, in particular neuronal or nerve cell function. For your nerve cells to be able to fire action potentials, those are the electrical signals that allow your brain and body to work and move and think, etc., you need sodium. And while of course there are people out there that need to reduce their sodium intake, many people actually don't get enough sodium, especially people that are following low carbohydrate diets, drinking a lot of caffeine, or eating extremely clean. Oftentimes those people feel better when they increase their sodium intake, and their health can actually improve when they increase their sodium intake. Sleep is the foundation of mental health, physical health, and performance. There's a direct relationship between temperature and our ability to fall and stay asleep. In fact, our body temperature needs to drop by about 1 to 3 degrees in order to fall asleep, and then there are further decreases in our body temperature that allow us to get into the deepest stages of sleep and the so-called rapid eye movement sleep, all the aspects of sleep that really restore our brain and body. If you want to think about tools of any kind to modify your biology or physiology in any way, whether or not it's for cognitive function, or you want to get better at exercising, or you want to build muscle, or you want to improve your hormones, you need to think and understand tools in the context of modulation and mediation. Mediation is how specific types of chemicals and cells and circuits and organs control very specific things in your brain and body. Whereas modulation is the ability of chemicals and cells and circuits to adjust how different things change, how different things work in your brain and body, but to do it more broadly. One of the most important things to build and maintain your focus and concentration is to optimize your sleeping behavior. That is to get enough quality sleep, I would say 80% of the nights of your life. Not everyone can get optimal sleep 100% of the nights of their life. Nobody, truly nobody achieves that. What we can reliably say is that sleep modulates just about every process in your brain and body. So you have to get great sleep. There's simply no tool that's going to allow you to overcome chronic sleep deprivation and allow you to remain focused. There's a whole industry and a ton of interest, for obvious reasons, into what sorts of things kids and adults should and shouldn't eat in order to reduce symptoms of ADHD. I think that the sum total of those data point to the fact that reducing simple sugar intake and certainly highly processed foods, so ice cream, candy, chips, etc., those sorts of things really does seem to improve symptoms of ADHD in both children and adults. Foods that, for instance, include a lot of tyrosine, which is a precursor to dopamine, are certainly going to increase concentration and focus. So things like Parmesan cheese, certain meats, certain nuts. But to be quite direct, it doesn't matter whether or not you're ingesting foods that are rich in the precursor amino acids to dopamine, acetylcholine, etc., if you are consuming large amounts of those foods. But if you're eating large meals, you are going to diminish your concentration and focus. Period. There is an immense amount of data supporting the idea that caffeine, provided it's consumed in the appropriate dosages, can improve mental performance and physical performance, and it largely does that through improvements in focus and concentration. There is a kind of general range in which we can talk about caffeine as being useful for focus and concentration. And the range is basically from 100 milligrams to 400 milligrams. If you're somebody who suffers from anxiety or panic attacks and you're not used to ingesting caffeine and you run out and ingest 400 milligrams of caffeine in the form of espresso or yerba mate or an energy drink or in pill form, that is going to be very uncomfortable for you. You're going to be sweating profusely, your heart rate is going to increase, you're going to be quite panicked. Most people do quite well to ingest 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine prior to doing some focused work. I tend to ingest caffeine only early in the day. I tend to cut off my caffeine intake somewhere around 1 or 2 p.m. to ensure that I can get into a good night's sleep. But I realize that there are people out there that ingest caffeine as late as 2 or 3 in the afternoon and can still sleep fine.